Yo, 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 ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? It's that time of day, that New York fire. What is good? Welcome, welcome everyone. Welcome, we're gonna start having a conversation very shortly. What is happening, guys? I hope you're all doing well today. We got some movement in the chart as always. The first day of trading. Well, it's not exactly the first day of trading, but it's the only day or the start of the week of trading for me, because I only trade Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, because these are the best times to trade in the markets. So we got a lot to get through today. I am going to be finishing the live pretty soon. I want to give you everything that you guys need so that you can align yourself with the flavor of what's to come. So if you are new to the channel, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to like and subscribe. Let's have a conversation, guys. What is happening, ladies and gentlemen? I hope you're all doing well today. So, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, they're always the best times to trade, all right? Now, let me just let you know, I'm not in my normal surroundings, okay? I'm in a hotel room. I usually have my backdrop. I've got everything that I need. So we're working with what we've got. So if you are new to the channel, I don't normally have this backdrop. But anyways, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. They are important days because news announcements comes out. The best moves happen during these days. Now, Mondays and Fridays are always a little bit off key. You know, you saw what happened yesterday with Bitcoin. Kept spiking price up and down and what have you. It wasn't ideal for a trading day. That's why I always encourage everyone to avoid trading on Mondays so that you can use Mondays to prepare yourself for what's to come. So, the narrative goes like this, ladies and gentlemen. Wall Street, in particular, Morgan Stanley, are talking about the idea that a short-term rally is on the cards. Well, let's just break it down for a second. Inflation, still a problem. Conflict abroad, still a problem. The Nord Stream, in relation to the gas supply, has had another problem there as well. All right? The UK gilts have taken an absolute mad move to the upside, and the pound itself is looking on really on unsteady ground right now, ladies and gentlemen. And the Bank of England is stopping the tightening. They've halted it. So there's a lot of fear, and they're waiting for the gilts to slow down. How are you going to restore order when traders and investors turn to the gilts when everything is free falling or there is concern about the marketplace? How are you going to get them to come away from that narrative? Okay? But what's actually triggering the idea of a move to the upside across the board is the earnings season. All right, so now we're in Q4 and companies are declaring earnings. Now, what does this mean for Bitcoin? Well, look, we know Bitcoin has a correlation to the S&P. So as long as the S&P has good results from all these top-heavy companies, naturally, that is going to trigger a move to the upside across the board because the optimism is going to be there. Bank of America puts out some great expectations about the consumer sentiment across the US, giving life to the idea that the market is going to see a little bit of a short-term rally, but we still got the problem of inflation. We can't hide from it because at some point, the market's going to react to it yet again. All we're waiting for now is the Fed's next bout of information, the next meeting, so that we can then see a drop in the charts. If we go back in time and look at June, when the S&P took the run to the upside and bounced off the key area on the 200 EMA on the daily, you can see that they made that move to the upside. $7 trillion worth of capital was pumped into the marketplace, but the narrative continued. And then it dropped back down, wiping all of those gains. Are we in line for this sort of situation right now? All because of the positive earnings that is coming out on companies across the board. So what I'm going to do today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bring you into an understanding of why the stock market is going to help us understand that and certain things that you need to be aware of. Because remember, the S&P is just not a single entity to itself. It's made up of the top 500 companies in the US on the stock market. So if money's going into those companies, naturally the S&P as an index is going to rise, which naturally means Bitcoin is going to move up because of this correlation that Bitcoin has. My goal in this channel, ladies and gentlemen, is to get you to understand the flow of liquidity, the flow of money. Where's it moving and where's it going to? I'm not going to focus exclusively on Bitcoin and say Bitcoin is moving because the Glassnode says so, or CoinDesk says so, or any other reason inside of cryptocurrency which is going to make Bitcoin move. Bitcoin's on the CME, ladies and gentlemen. CME is the futures market. So naturally, we are trying to get into the idea that Bitcoin is only going to move if the world markets themselves, the legacy markets, start moving too. All right? So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get on with the flavor of the channel and start breaking down some charts. Let's go. All right then. So, in front of you, you've got Bitcoin right now, and Bitcoin is eyeing, it's flirting with that 20K region. Now, 20K is all the way up here. Let me just change this up, ladies and gentlemen, so you guys can see it bright as day. For any of my mobile phone users, happy days. All right then. So right now, Bitcoin's at the 19635 zone. It's doing a good job of coming away from the psychological ranges. Now, we said at the start of the week, especially on Sunday, when price moves away from the psychological ranges. Now, these psychological ranges here are where Mr. Market Maker sets the spread at the start of every trading week. In other words, he builds his positions and he sets up the idea of where he wants price to go towards. If he trades away from it at the start of the week, we would naturally project that it's going to keep trading away from that point towards the end of the week, where we would expect it to come back down to that zone. The only way we would see price going down and it coming back towards the psychological ranges is if price is able to hold the 50 on the 1 hour time frame. This strategy, ladies and gentlemen, given the actual hybrid system, all right, it's a day trader strategy, but more importantly, you can use it as a swing trader. You can work off the daily time frame, work off the weekly, the monthly. I mean, let's jump back a few months. Now, we're talking several months ago, ladies and gentlemen, where in one of the live streams, I did address the idea that Bitcoin and these monthly green vector candles could be realized very soon, okay? Now, we were talking about it when Bitcoin was all the way up here in the 45 mark. And I said to you guys, it's all good that we accept Bitcoin to recover the vector candle on the 1 hour time frame, the 5 minute time frame, the 15 hour time frame. So why is the monthly time frame any different? The logic would say that Bitcoin right now doesn't have any vectors to go into on the monthly time frame, but on the weekly time frame, we go into that chart itself. And you can see bright as day. Where is it? Come on. There we go. You can see Bitcoin has got these two zones in the chart. So that makes reference to the 13,830. And then, of course, the final point right here, the lowest zone, is the 15,843. So if the marketplace is talking about the stock market going up, all right? Morgan Stanley saying a short-term rally could be on the cards. Could that short-term rally induce price across the board to move up? All right? Because remember, the markets will always factor in the future now. Okay? So let's understand something here. We know Bitcoin is a volatile asset. Would we be of this understanding that we could see Bitcoin drop down towards these regions right here, the 13.8 and the 15.8? All right? With whatever news announcements that could come out for that reason. So imagine in December when the Fed has the meeting again in relation to the interest rates. Could we assume it could come back down towards this point based on Bitcoin's volatility? Okay? Because Bitcoin will always move wider and faster in relation to the S&P and the Nasdaq. It's a wild stock. It's a wild asset in my opinion. Okay? So having these marked off in the chart as the last vector points in this chart here, could these be the points where Bitcoin turns from? Who knows? We're waiting for every reason to believe that Bitcoin can go up, especially from this point right here, ladies and gentlemen, on the monthly. We've got vector points right here that we would like to see Bitcoin come into. And the fact that for the last, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months, Bitcoin hasn't gone anywhere beyond the 18K zone. Now, we're going into the idea of that psychological 20K region. The only reason it's psychological is because that was the last high that Bitcoin made before it made the move towards the 67 region itself. All right? So, with that notion, people come to crypto with that belief that the 20K is the point in the chart where Bitcoin's going to reverse from. But what people need to understand is if Bitcoin has a correlation to the S&P, it's what the S&P is going to do. All right? So let's just jump into the idea of the stock market for a split second. And I want to play with something with you guys, just so you think out of the box with this. Check this out. Let me bring this chart up for you. Check this. Now, me and Mr. Dutch were talking about AMGN, okay? And this is a, where is it? Here we go. This is Amgen, and this is a medical biotech stock in the Nasdaq. This stock happens to be one of the stocks that Nancy Pelosi has picked up from. So Nancy Pelosi has picked up a bag of this stock, all right? Well, if everything's taking a nosedive to the downside, and 1 minute JP Morgan saying that the markets are looking to go to a very treacherous environment and we're going to see more blood on the streets, and then all of a sudden we got Morgan Stanley talking about a short-term rally which could lead the actual reversal of the market, okay? Why would Nancy be buying up 10,000 of these shares, okay? What I'm trying to get across to you, ladies and gentlemen, is this. The S&P and the Nasdaq is made up of stocks that trade within these two indices. So, with that being said, if commitment starts coming into this asset right here, and you can see on the weekly, Amgen has been pumping up for the past 2 weeks, and it looks like it's formulating a structure to try and break out to the upside, and it's one of the top performers in terms of earnings per share. So that's happy days for this stock. It's showing an acceleration in its, an acceleration in its quarterly earnings. So things look promising for this company. But next year, they're projecting an 8% drop in their earnings per share overall. So whatever the reason that Nancy has to buy this asset, okay, what I'm trying to get you to understand is if there are more companies like this showing commitment to move higher and volume is trading above average, that's going to lead the Nasdaq and the S&P to move up. So if you bring up the S&P itself, you'll see right here that the S&P itself is currently, it's trading inside of this 3,500 region itself. Volume has been relatively light over the last week or so. Going into the daily, you can see right here, we've had accumulation days and distribution days. Now, this is important for you guys if you want to understand what Bitcoin's going to do next, all right? There are two ways that the market can read traders' intention. It's accumulation and distribution. Now, this is the works of William J. O'Neill in Investors Business Daily, all right? When the market accumulates, that means investors are coming and buying stock, all right? That's usually when you see a reading above 1% or more, all right? When it's distributing, that means when the Nasdaq or the S&P is actually trading lower and losing for the day, distribution days of minus 1% or more means that investors are selling stock. Now, all we're looking for is we're looking for more accumulation days, because on those accumulation days, ladies and gentlemen, that's where we're going to be able to go and look at Bitcoin and say to ourselves, okay, then what if Bitcoin is going to continue higher based on the interest of stocks getting the commitment from investors, okay? So when you're trying to navigate what Bitcoin's going to do next, take your time and search for the S&P and the Nasdaq. Go and have a look at stocks that could be outperforming the market or that are rising in volume, because this is what happens before every big market run-up. You're going to start seeing a collection of stocks that are holding out during the chaos of the yields going up, the madness of inflation, and all the madness that comes out in relation to all news articles scaremongering people. Those stocks that are holding out well are usually going to be the leaders that make the bull run happen, because institutional commitment is coming into the chart. So how does that help me as a person who trades cryptocurrency or Forex? How does the stock market help me understand where Bitcoin's going to end up next? Well, it's simple. Bitcoin's correlation to the S&P is about 71%. So I'm looking to determine if Bitcoin moves when the S&P moves. Usually what I like to do is I like to roll over to the dominance of the dollar, because that's going to tell me exactly where my head is at when I'm trying to establish the narrative for the day. Dixie itself looks like it's trying to break down and recover this blue vector candle. Earlier on today in the Discord, we were talking about the idea that this blue vector candle was in essence a fake out by the traders of the Dixie chart itself. Why? Because they came up, recovered the red vector candle in this range, and then they instantly reversed it back down again. that kind of gives me the idea that this was a stop hunt for all the guys going short on the dollar, but also profit taking is happening in the dollar, and it has been happening for quite some time, given that it topped out at the 114 mark. Now, I'm going to say it again. Dollar yen is going to be the trigger for when dollar dominance starts to go down. That's my opinion, all right? We're narrowly missing that 150 mark, ladies and gentlemen. This is really important. And Japan is still not going to do nothing until dollar yen gets to 150. Can we justify that? We've still got a vector candle up here, ladies and gentlemen, and we still haven't recovered that point. And that sits at the 149.290 zone. So by understanding what's going on with dollar yen, you can see you've got a big bad boy wick right there, ladies and gentlemen. That is screaming recovery. And even if it does recover this wick, still not enough for me to believe that dollar yen is going to continue to go lower. It needs to hit that psychological 150 mark for Japan to step in and intervene with the actual volatility of the foreign exchange in Japanese yen. All right? Now, check this out. What I also like to explore, Aussie yen. When Aussie yen moves up, ladies and gentlemen, it's the carry trade principle. And I'll always remind you guys of this, because if you understand the carry trade principle, you're then going to be able to work out how likely traders are favoring assets as opposed to safety. All right? So when Aussie yen is rising up, the carry trade principle says that investors go and seek low yielding assets like dollar and yen. Well, right now, dollar isn't doing too good. Okay? Because dollar is so high right now. It's strong. Okay? So with that being said, what the principle of carry trade is, you take your dollars or your yens, and then you change them for high yielding assets such as Aussie. You then take that Aussie and go and pick up stocks. So look at when Aussie yen is moving up, correlate that to another asset like stocks. So let's go with Nasdaq, and you can see that as Nasdaq's moving up, let me just get rid of all this. Nasdaq is moving up, Aussie yen is doing the same thing. In other words, right now, we are witnessing traders picking up stock, picking up gold, commodities, all right? They're favoring risk because they're transacting with Aussie to use that to pick up the other stocks, okay? But when they want to take profits, what happens? They sell the stock, they then get their Aussie, and then they turn it back into dollars, which is why the dominance of the dollar will show dollar rising. What we're waiting for is we're waiting for more Aussie behavior. We're waiting for Aussie to keep marking up. And when you look at Aussie on the higher time frames, ladies and gentlemen, if you look at the 8-hour time frame, principally, you would want to see Aussie holding this region, and start marking up to recover these vector candles in the chart, ladies and gentlemen. Because then that would be a sustained rally to the upside. That would mean Nasdaq would continue, Euro USD would continue moving up, Bitcoin would be moving up, any asset against the US dollar will be moving up. Then as it keeps moving higher, ladies and gentlemen, we're then going to want to see a return on our investments. That's what the carry trade will do. So then they will sell their stock, sell their Bitcoin, sell their euro, convert it back into dollar, which would then lead the dominance of the dollar to shoot back up again. So if dollar can actually drop back down, okay, and break this region here, happy days. We know that traders are favoring assets. All right? What time is it right now? Okay, so it's 10 past 2, ladies and gentlemen. I just need to break down what Bitcoin is doing as we speak right now. Let's go into the smaller time frames. Well, actually, let's do some swing trading discussion right here, ladies and gentlemen. All right, because this is what a lot of people are waiting for. Bitcoin hasn't gone anywhere really. Let's be honest. Okay. Now, this is on the 8-hour chart. If I go over to the high block and look at the last 12 hours of liquidity that's been coming into crypto, or Bitcoin in particular, through Binance, I'm going to get a good idea of what I can expect throughout the next 12 hours or so. Look at this. 12-hour chart showing we've got roughly about just shy of $1 billion at 19,850. Below that, at 19.25, we've got just shy of $1 billion. So there's roughly about $2 billion between this region right here. The question is, which one is it going to go to first? And we're always going to have that. The best way for you to work out where price is going to go in technical terms, putting aside anything else, when you first come to the chart, if price is above the 50 EMA on the 1-hour time frame, happy days. You're only looking for longs. But if it's below the 50 EMA, you're looking for shorts. So in other words, when you've got price doing this, rise, retrace, up, the 50 EMA in principle will be moving like this. You flip it on the other side, ladies and gentlemen, drop, retrace, drop, retrace, drop. You are looking for, in principle, the 50 EMA to be above price. That gives you the narrative of what is going on in the marketplace. That's the most simplest way for you to approach trading. All right. Now, when you start doing this on smaller time frames, you're going to get caught out with a lot of mad movement. So just be cautious with smaller time frames. Although the smaller time frames will always tell you how the move is going to develop. If we study what's going on with Bitcoin right now, you can see, okay, this area here, okay, you can see when you go closer into it, you start to get an idea of what they're trying to do inside this zone. Look at where they're building positions at. The 19,500 region. What do you think they're doing more of, ladies and gentlemen? And this is a question that I always ask the patrons of the channel, and I say to them, what is Mr. Market Maker doing more of yet not following through with it? Is he looking at hitting price higher, or is he looking to try and market lower? What I'm trying to get at here is this. When you draw off these zones like 19,500 or 20,000, okay? Market Maker builds the positions above the zone, so he gets his shorts at the highest possible point. That's why you can see Bitcoin has hit this zone here, this one, and it hasn't gone beyond the 19,700, all right? And if he can't get above the 19,700 zone, we're getting closer and closer to believing that Bitcoin could be formulating a short building position. But what is the Market Maker hitting more of? Is he hitting price higher, or is he hitting it lower? And that's something that you've got to really try and work out for yourselves, ladies and gentlemen, because I don't know what commitment or liquidity you will use. I don't know what leverage you're going to use. For me to simply say to you, Bitcoin's just going to go up, happy days, I don't need to sit on a live to tell you that. Yeah? Who's in the room with me today, ladies and gentlemen? Keeps refreshing. What's going on? Ain't playing. Isn't the stream working well? Oh, God. What's happening now? What's the stream like, ladies and gentlemen? Is everything all right? Yeah, I'm not, you know what? I'm streaming off my phone, guys, and this is what happens, man. It's not good. All right, listen, let me just cut this quick for you, ladies and gentlemen. I want to apologize about that. It looks like I'm struggling with this internet right here. I need to try and find a better spot to do these lives. I might just be doing videos in the future just to make sure that it's a smooth connection for you all. But the takeaway for the live today, ladies and gentlemen, is simple, all right? Correlate your analysis to what the S&P is doing. Be mindful of how the S&P is behaving, and you're going to get a better view of how Bitcoin is likely to move towards specific zones. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, I apologize for that. Listen, mad love and respect. I'll be getting a video over to you guys later on tonight with no interruptions. So if you are new, be sure to like and subscribe. Take care of yourself, pattern watchers. Peace.